Alright guys, welcome back to day, I don't know, 973 on this project of getting this bad girl ready for 2024. So yesterday, finished welding in CT rear bulkhead and a bunch of other gussets and stuff like that. And I started cutting these gussets out for the the TMW gusset kit. So this one went right in here. Little piece of 065 tin I got, and it will get replaced by this big fella. Should go in just like that. Then there's one that goes on the inside, and then there's one that goes on the top, and it basically boxes this whole corner in, which will be awesome. So that's what I'm working on today. Then what else? Oh yeah, yesterday I started also on the rear trailing arm tabs, beefing those up. As you can see, I got a couple 2x4s wedged in there. I got the jack holding up, pushing up underneath the battery, just to give me just enough clearance to where I think I can weld most of that. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's not gonna be pretty at all, but something is better than nothing, right? So will it be better than it was before? For sure. Will it be 1% better or 10x better? I don't know. But it'll be better. So today we're gonna get those welded in, get the TMW plates welded in, and then we'll hopefully get the upper shock tabs welded in. As you can see, these straps are going on both sides, and those are what are supporting the engine, since we currently have no tranny. So we might have to figure that out, or maybe those upper tabs will just have to wait. But for right now today, trying to keep my ADD reined in, it's just those two things right there. That's all we're doing. That's all I'm going to be looking at. Besides what? I got to turn King of the Hammers qualifying on. Otherwise, that's what we're going to be doing today. So tag along and let's get this bad girl knocked out. So first thing that we're going to do is grab grinder with grinding wheel and a nice flap disc, and we'll get these, basically I cut those tabs off, right just on the, the flange side of the weld. So now we got to cut this whole, grind this whole weld off and get it nice and smooth. Let me say it differently. We do not have to, because, the TMW plates sit inside this outer edge of the tube a little bit. So actually they would be fine to leave. You could just clean everything up, get it all raw steel and weld. But my OCD will appreciate it if those were knocked down. So we got a little more grinding to do and we'll be ready to rip. So I'm gonna grab the grinders. All of the, this old gusset, weld and everything else removed. Next thing to do is, I also cleaned up, before we get to that, I also cleaned up this weld right in here, because this is the driver's side, on the passenger side, before our last race, there was a huge crack right here. It almost went halfway around the tube, just about. So I kind of halfway welded that side up before that race, but I also noticed that this side has a small crack in it too, probably about 45 degrees, a little bit more. It's from like 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock or so. So I'm going to weld that up, and I'm going to do the other side as well. So I did clean that off because I'm going to weld that up, since that will be like boxed in and enclosed. I won't be able to weld it later. So I'm going to do probably like 2 passes. I'll probably do like 1 wide pass, and I'll do like a second, like even wider pass on top of it, before I weld in these top gussets. But before that, just trying to get done with all the grinding and stuff. What we need to do is we need to put our gussets on here, and we need to mark out, where we need to remove paint from. And then we can remove all the paint that we need to, and after that, the fun can begin. So I wish that TMW did a better job of marking which is which, you know. It's kind of a little bit of a guess as to, you know, which goes where, but I guess that's how it goes. We'll just mark it so that both of them will clear, and then we can figure it out later. So just kind of coloring all over this thing, you know. Perfect. So I'll strip all that paint off, or powder coat, you know. I'm gonna do the same thing to the inside, right? It's just gonna be hard for you guys to see it, you know. Oh, in order to get this inside one in, so one thing you guys are gonna have to do is kind of remove the firewall. So right now I basically drilled out several rivets. So I drilled out this rivet, and then there's one that goes right here. So I drilled those out, took out 1, 2, 3, and then 4. There's a 4th fastener right there. Right, drilled those out, took out those fasteners, and then this rear bulkhead or rear firewall can move a little bit. You're not going to move it a lot. I can move it just enough to fit these 2x4s in here to kind of hold it up a little bit. That way I can weld this trailing arm mount, and then so I can also get in here and weld this up. It's going to be basically, you are relying on this plastic bending and moving in order for you to do it. You may have to notch out where the seat posts come up through. You may have to notch those a little bit more just to give yourself more wiggle and movement. But that is one thing that you'll need to do. And then you'll have to put either self-tapping screws back in there or riv nuts. I'm going to do the riv nuts. I haven't exactly figured out how I'm going to do the riv nuts yet, but riv nuts are going to be happening. So I'm going to mark out, you know, this inside one, and then I'm going to get that all stripped off and stuff, all the powder coat stripped off, and then we will continue onward. So one other thing that I just found out is this inside panel right here. So you can see where the inside gusset will go. This inside panel is going to need to be trimmed. And what I'm going to do to start off with is, you can see my black line. Basically, this black mark is drawn right on this edge right here, right? And then I'm going to cut it out right here, and then we'll go back in right here, and then we'll come up, you know, just over where the gusset, where the top of this gusset is. Come just up over that, right there. So I'm going to try that. Hopefully that'll give us enough clearance. If not, we can always cut a little bit more. I got, you know, down here welded on both sides. Basically, you know, kind of did like a quarter of it at a time and alternated sides, you know, just to kind of like spread the heat out, and just took my time. So now, got all the paint stripped off of here. So once these tack welded in, you know, did take a little bit of grinding and trimming and stuff like that to get it to fit fairly well. I definitely have some, you know, gaps to fill on the top, but I don't blame TMW for that, because the chassis tolerance variances in these is insane. So the fact that it fits as well as it did right away, I'm kind of impressed. So I'm gonna finish weld this whole thing, and I think after that, I think this part is done. Oh, I just gotta clean up the plastic a little bit on the inside and stuff, just to get that to fit nicely. But yeah, then after that, this part is done. I just gotta go do the other side. So let's, I'm gonna weld a little bit of this one and stuff, and I'll let it cool. While it's cooling, I'm gonna go work on the other side. So that's gonna pretty much be the method of my madness. So we're making some good progress here. So got everything semi-taped off, and I've kind of started painting stuff. Got all my gussets welded in the floor and extra tubes added. So this one right here is a, as you can see, it's a rectangle. The reason being, the floor right there is countersunk and drops down a little bit, So I basically had to trim out the underside of the floor so that it would fit. As you can see right there, right, I had to cut out all that, you know, cross hatching. I just used a flap disc on a grinder. It worked really good. And, you know, that way, that, that pipe, or, you know, that box can sit right in there. So that worked out super good. So got that done, and got the CO2 bottle mounts on there. So got some, you know, band clamps. Whoops. Some band clamps. So this bottle will sit, you know, right up there, like so. And it tucks right behind some plastic that goes there. So that'll work out really good. And we got the CT Raceworks rear bulkhead all in and done. Okay. So, little update. So got all the gussets and everything else painted. It is certainly not pretty, but it's gonna work. It's gonna cover everything up. It's pretty in the places that you'll be able to see, but in the places like where the plastics are gonna cover, you know, like you can tell, got a little bit of overspray right there and stuff, unfortunately. But overall, I want to be able to have this whole thing powder coated. That'll probably be at the end of this coming season though, just because I'm way out of time and budget. So ended up, this is a Super ATV front bulkhead gusset kit. Ended up actually kind of semi-welding this on, not so much for structure, but more so for like when you're taking stuff off of it, you don't have to worry about it trying to fall off. So just kind of welded like a couple 1-inch little pieces of bar right here. It's got a little tack, you know, right there. And then on both sides, you know, this is obviously this all the same on both sides, right? Then I just put like a little 1.5 inch bead there and there, just to kind of hold that on and in place. That way I don't have to worry about it. Like I said, when I take the control arms off, it's like that's where the winch is bolted to, and then that whole thing like wants to sag down and stuff like that, which is, you know, just less than ideal.